Ignore my background. Maya occupying our office right now.
No, no worries. No worries. Thank you for zooming in, channeling in, right? Tuning in.
Not
Hi,
exactly.
Alberto. Is that your office, you said, or is it just work?
Oh no, this is our bedroom. My office right now. She's in there playing around. So I'm about to take a nap.
Nice, nice. Little one?
She will be a year old in about 2 weeks.
Nice. Tender age. Wait until you get to the terrible twos. There's something else.
I think she already has terrible twos.
Oh, dude. She's one of those that is ahead, right?
Yeah, she's just busy, just nonstop. It's funny. But she sleeps better now, so that's a win.
That's good. That's good. Keeping them more on a schedule always helps out, especially for mom.
Yeah.
Hi, kiddos. Hi. What's your name? Is it Melvin or is it your? Because I know you're part of the Bautista. Melvin. Hi, Melvin. How are you?
Yeah, Melvin, but like my brother's computing right now. So he'll come a little bit.
Oh, they're coming a little bit? Okay. All right. Who else do we have? We have Alexandria. We have Glenda, Israel. So it's a little early right now. We'll have everyone start like tuning in and then logging in. I think one of my partners should be coming on too. Okay. Usually he takes charge of the talks, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
How's the weather out there?
It was actually a really nice day today. It got up to low 80s, surprisingly. It normally starts to get cold and gray around this time of year, but it was nice today. So we just got back from the zoo with our daughter.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. Does she have a favorite animal?
No, everything. Well, I mean, I guess technically a penguin's her favorite animal, but she doesn't know that. She just has a lot of penguin stuff.
Oh, okay, okay. So the parents like the penguins.
Exactly.
Nice, nice. Is that you or your wife?
Well, actually, let's see. I'm gonna do you on my computer, but if it freezes up, I'm gonna keep you on my phone.
Okay.
Can you still see me?
I cannot.
No, she actually was conceived in Antarctica, so that's why she has so much penguin stuff. But she doesn't know that.
Awesome. Oh, that's super cute. That is adorable. So if you see my partner, Officer Lear, finally decided to log on. Hi, Officer Lear. This is Dr. Jarrett Heard.
Hey, good afternoon.
How's it going?
Good afternoon.
All right. How about yourself?
I'm blessed. Thank you for asking. Thank you for doing this for
Not
our
a
kids
problem.
as well. Great, great.
All right, you guys can see me pretty well on this thing?
I hear you.
Yeah, you're coming in good. You have.
Well, it's because I'm on my phone too. So if my computer acts up, then I will get off and get back on via my phone. So give me.
Okay, so maybe mute on one of them, and then that way we don't get too much of the feedback.
You muted both of them.
Both, yeah.
Okay. All right. No, I always have one because we do a lot of our interviews and stuff virtually, so I always have a backup fired up in case something happens. So if I lose you guys on the computer, I'll jump on the phone.
That's good. That's being prepared. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't have that, so you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, we had to learn pretty quickly when all this happened. So
yeah, we have to adapt and overcome. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Doc, we're gonna get started. Some more kids might trickle in during this meeting. We try to keep the meeting to an hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm happy to have you here, but if you don't mind doing a brief introduction, tell us who you are, where you came from, and where you're at right now in your life.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. And so for everybody that is on the meeting right now, my name is Jarrett Heard. I currently live in Columbus, Ohio. I work at Ohio State University, Wexner Medical Center, where I am a clinical anesthesiologist. And I also have quite a few administrative roles too, and I'll kind of talk about that later. But I am not from Ohio. I'm not from the Midwest. I'm from the South. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. So after I graduated high school, I went to undergrad at Wake Forest University. I also played football there for a few years. And after I finished at Wake Forest, I was actually a Spanish teacher for 2 years in Virginia, right outside Charlottesville. And then after that, I moved on up to Columbus, Ohio, where I attended medical school at Ohio State, and I've been up here since 2006. So that is 14 years, which is kind of a surprise because I don't like cold weather, but I do like the city of Columbus, and I like my job, and I like Ohio State. So I'm here for now. I got married 2 years ago, and we have a daughter who is about to turn a year old.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. So for all the boys and girls that are tuned in today, show of hands, who knows what an anesthesiologist is and who can explain that to us? Anesthesiologist. Did I say that right, Doc?
You said it correct.
Anybody know what that is? I didn't. Yes. So we're going to have to use a smaller vocabulary, Doc.
All right, I can help you.
Go ahead, Alberto. Go ahead. Let's see if you know.
Go ahead, Alberto.
A doctor in training?
No, that is so. I'm glad you saw. I will explain how you become a doctor. But first, let me tell you guys what an anesthesiologist is. Have any of you guys ever had surgery? All right. Nobody? Good.
I think Melvin has.
Melvin?
Yeah, you might have to scroll, but yeah, Melvin raised his hand.
Okay. All right. Melvin. So let's see. Melvin, you had what surgery did you have?
I don't know. I don't want to listen. Eye surgery? I forgot. I think it was like 3 or 5. I forgot.
All right. So you had eye surgery. All right. Let me ask you a question. Were you awake for that surgery?
Thank God, no.
Well, how do you think you had the surgery then?
No, I wasn't awake, but thank God.
I know you weren't awake. So your surgeon needs to do surgery, but you don't want to be awake, right? And your surgeon doesn't want you to be awake. So an anesthesiologist is a person that provides medication to either get you sleepy or all the way asleep, while also monitoring you while the surgeon does the surgery. That way you don't start moving and kicking and screaming. I don't think you want the surgeon doing eye surgery on you while you're wide awake, do you? All right. That's what an anesthesiologist does. So I'll give you guys a quick history of anesthesia, actually. You'll like this. So we've been doing surgeries for a long time, but like I said, it used to happen where people were awake. And so sometime towards the end of the 19th century, depending on who you ask, there was either a man in Atlanta, Georgia, or a man in Boston, Massachusetts. They were both dentists, actually. And they were trying to do dental surgery on patients. So they were trying to mess with their teeth, and the patients kept moving. So what they decided to do is they figured out a way to make them inhale some medication that made them drowsy. And they were able to do the surgery while the patient was able to lie still and be comfortable. And they were able to do their job. And that was the first anesthesia. But the problem is, if I'm a surgeon, it's hard to keep giving you medication to keep you asleep and to also make sure you're healthy while also doing the surgery. So sometime about 20 years later, they decided that this needed to be a specialty where they needed to train people that knew how to take care of very sick people and people that knew how to take care of the patient while the surgeon is able to do surgery. And that's the thing I'll tell you. If any of you know Latin, anesthesia literally means without sensation. So the idea is no Anesthesiology literally means the study of studying how you can take away pain and sensation with surgery.
Very important role that he performs in surgery or in the medical procedure of of whatever it is that the ailment is of the patient. So he has to monitor that patient. So boys and girls, when he gives you that whatever it is to knock you out, he has to monitor you and make sure that you're okay during that procedure. Make sure that your vitals don't go too low, your heartbeat doesn't get too slow to where you eventually don't make it out of that
Absolutely.
surgery. So it's a very important role. Go ahead.
And we have to wake you up. So I always tell people,
the most important part.
I don't just put you to sleep, I wake you up, because he's right. A lot of times what that means is I have to stop your lungs from breathing, so I have to breathe for you. We have a machine that does that, but I also have to make sure I can wake you up.
Really, really cool, really cool. So take us through your growing up. You grew up, you said, in Tennessee, athletic kid, into football a little bit. What were some of your hobbies, some of your passions when you were in grade school, high school?
Absolutely. So anybody that knows me, so I'm the, well, sort of, I've got a big kind of mixed family, but my immediate family is myself and my younger sister. She is actually a nurse, and she's what's called a nurse anesthetist. So she actually also puts people to sleep, but as a nurse. So I can supervise her as a doctor putting people to sleep. Now that is a coincidence. That just happened. Actually, since about the 3rd grade, I always wanted to be a doctor. So the first thing I'll tell you is, as early as you can start, never ever, set your goals short. Always dream big. And the reality is, the dreams you set as a child, things will happen in life where they may change a little bit, but that doesn't mean you can't stick to your dreams. So when I was in 3rd grade, I actually wanted to be a heart surgeon. So that was always my goal. And then by the time I got into my training, I just decided I didn't like heart surgery as much, and I liked anesthesia better. So the first thing I'll tell you, though, is always set goals for yourself. There's a saying that says you should always shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. So always set high goals for yourself, okay? So growing up, I liked going to school. I liked science. Funny story, I actually was not very good at math. So just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you can't still set your goals. So I like math, but it was always my weakest subject. I was very good at English and languages. But like I said, I liked science. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I was a busy kid. I played baseball, I wrestled, I played basketball, I played football, I ran track in high school. So I started playing baseball first, and then I started doing football, and then wrestling and basketball. Eventually I gave up baseball and wrestling around the time of middle school, but pretty much middle school all the way up until my senior year in high school, every season I played a sport. So I played basketball, football, and track. I really liked football. Matter of fact, when I was a teacher, I was a high school football coach as well. So the first thing I'll tell you is never set limits on yourself. I used to have friends and their parents, and they would say, wow, I can't believe Jarrett plays football and he makes straight A's. And I was like, I don't know why you can't. I played the piano growing up. I sang in my church choir and played piano sometimes at my church, and I also played the saxophone. So I was a very busy kid. I still made time to have friends. I collect comic books, so I've got somewhere over about 6,000 comics. I haven't collected them since 2000 when I graduated high school.
Wow.
So time is what you make it. So I was very busy. If you're wondering too, I had a girlfriend in high school too, so you can do all those things. You just have to know how to put them in to prioritize them. So a real funny story, the first girlfriend I had, we met at my cousin's birthday party, and I got home and she called me at 12 o'clock that night when I got home, and I told her, hey, I'm busy. You have to call me on the weekends. But so I did all of those things. So again, never put limitations on yourself. I always knew that I was going to play football in college, but I think you have to also be honest with yourself. I was a very good football player. I was All-State Tennessee 2 years in a row and All-City 2 years in a row.
Wow.
But I also knew that I probably wasn't going to make it to the NFL. Doesn't mean that I didn't love football, but I wanted to use football as a means to get to where I needed to be to become a doctor. So I actually went to school on a scholarship. Now, interestingly enough, I actually went on an academic scholarship, but they also were recruiting me for football. So the academic scholarship worked first, but they still recruited me to play football. So I was able to do that. And then, like I said, when I was in college, I thought it's very important that I go ahead and become a doctor.
Hey, Doc, I think we just lost you, Doc. I think you froze up on us. Well, while we try to get him back, man, wow, his background is so diverse. All the stuff that he did is, man, really amazing. Really,
it's pretty much, I think Officer Lee would be like, exactly, it's all that time that we have, you have to put and apply yourself to something, because look at all the stuff he did, and he still had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And straight A's. That's
right.
awesome.
And
so
played
kids,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes. You know, I was like, see, kids, you can do so much more with your time as kids, because you don't have to worry about working. You don't have to worry about having to pay for your car payment, your phone, your computer, everything. You have all the time in the world to study, to play sports, have a life, be outside with friends, play an instrument. That always helps you.
All right. I'm back.
There you go.
All right.
But no, I thought it was.
We were just talking about how diverse your upbringing was, how diverse your childhood was. You were into
Absolutely.
so many things. That's amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, I stayed very busy, and like I said, I would tell you, never set limitations on yourself. I honestly believe human beings are stronger than that. I believe so. You know, growing up in church, there was always a saying that God will never put more on you than you. And I believe it. So I typically don't get overwhelmed, because I tell myself I can handle whatever is thrown at me. But I also thought it was important to understand how to be a professional and give back. So that's why I was a teacher for a couple of years before I went to medical school for my training.
When you say teacher, what type of teacher were you?
Spanish, I think.
Did he say it? I
And
missed
then
it. I'm sorry.
I think he said Spanish earlier.
Spanish.
Okay.
Absolutely. So funny story, I did not major in science in college. I was a sociology major and I was a Spanish minor. I still took my science courses, but I figure I don't have to just be a doctor and only know medicine. So I've always been fascinated by people and how people work together. So I decided to study sociology. So you can do whatever you set your mind to. You just have to never, ever limit yourself.
That's a powerful message, Doc. Real powerful message. When you talked about earlier on, you said I think you said in third grade you knew you wanted to become a doctor. What was it that made you know that you wanted to be a doctor? Was it a TV show, somebody talking about a cartoon like "What's Up, Doc"? What was it that made you want to be a doctor?
Well, you know, I think when you're young, a lot of people start thinking about what they want to do. I knew I wanted to be in some type of field that allowed me to kind of help people. But more importantly, I don't know, I'm a pretty stubborn guy. I'm pretty persistent. I think I wanted to become a doctor because, again, math and science was not easy for me. I'll tell you guys a quick story. In ninth grade, I almost failed the first 5 weeks of math. And so what I did was I met up with my teacher and I stayed in his office almost every day after class. He was also one of my football coaches. And I worked with him. I ended up with an A for the year. So I think that's also why I like science. It was always hard for me. I didn't like doing things that were easy, because if it was easy, it was easy. I think you get a satisfaction when there's something challenging for you and you work hard and you succeed at it. So I think that's also why I wanted to become a doctor, because medicine and science was not easy for me. So I had to work hard at it.
Something challenging. Wow. You picked up
Yeah.
something challenging and said that you were going to dedicate and focus your mind to that. That's wow. That's really powerful, man. Really, really powerful. So when it came to the instruments, why the instrument? Why the different instruments? Why did you want to learn how to play?
So the piano came from my mom. As an adult, my mom wanted to learn to play the piano, so we did. And so at first, you know, I kind of liked it, and I gave up on it for a while and picked it back up when I was towards the end of middle school, but high school. But I did always like music. You know, again, grew up singing at church, and you know, we had a very musical household. And so in my school, in third grade, you got the option to play an instrument if you could. And so I like the saxophone, so I picked it up. So even though I played both, I actually like the saxophone better. And I played in our wind ensemble, and I played in our pep band. But the problem with that is you can't play in the pep band while you're also playing football. So once I got to high school, I only played in the wind ensemble. But yeah, I've always liked music. It's still a big part of my life. We play a lot of music around the house, and my wife actually played in her band in high school, and she played clarinet, and she actually in high school played at the Rose Bowl parade. She had a really good high school band. So again, just always like music. It's a great outlet, and again, it's just another challenge.
Another challenge, yeah. And you have no problem taking on challenges, it seems. No problem. That's super cool. So what's the goal now? You're an anesthesiologist. You're up in Columbus. You've seen a large part of the country. What's the goal now? What's next on the horizon for Dr. Heard?
Right. So when I was finishing my training in anesthesia, so a real quick word about how you become a doctor. So to become a doctor, you have to go to college. And once you finish college, you go to medical school. And that's 4 years of medical school. Once you finish, you go on to choose a specialty that you will train in. For everybody, that first year is an internship. So we're all at the same level. And I think somebody, was it Alberto, he said that an anesthesiologist was doctor in training. Well, I will help him out. A resident is the doctor in training. So you become a resident doctor. So you're actually a doctor, but you're still training. And so in anesthesia, you have to do 4 years of anesthesia training, and that includes your intern year. So you do 1 intern year where you're doing basic doctor medicine, and then 3 years where you're learning how to put patients to sleep and put breathing tubes in them and waking them up. You learn how to take care of children. You learn how to take care of pregnant women. You learn how to take care of really sick people. You learn how to take care of people for heart surgery. You learn how to take care. A big part of anesthesia is managing pain, so you learn how to take care of people with pain. At the end of your training in medicine, you can do what's called a fellowship, and that's basically some more years of very focused training. So when I was finishing, my boss decided to pitch this thing that does not exist anywhere in the whole entire world. And he said, I want to create a fellowship where I train anesthesiologists to learn how to become leaders, administrators, and get your business degree. So I actually did that. So I got my business degree as well.
Wow.
So I was the first ever to do this anesthesia. It's called a Master's in Business Administration, an MBA. So I was the first to do it. And now I am the director of the fellowship. And the simplest version, I tell everybody, I'm my boss's shadow, but I am the associate director for all outpatient surgery. And I do a bunch of other administrative things within our department. So the most important thing for me to do now is to start finding ways to make sure that not only am I treating patients, but I'm finding ways to train future doctors and to also give back to those people that come from impoverished neighborhoods that are underrepresented minorities and women, because to date, there are not a whole lot of Black and brown people in medicine, and there are not a lot of women in medicine compared to men. So I also work with the College of Medicine on the admissions committee. And then we have a program that is dedicated to people that come from what we call non-traditional medical backgrounds, so either lower income or, like I said, underrepresented minorities. And by definition, that's Black, Latino, brown people, Pacific Islanders, Native Americans. And I work on that admissions committee as well. And the College of Medicine admissions dean just asked me to to be on a task force to work with our minorities in the medical school and figure out ways to address racism and disparities in the curriculum to help them become more successful, so that not only do they get into medical school, but they graduate just like their white peers, so that we can also create more diverse doctors. We have a huge Ethiopian and Somali population in Columbus, but we don't have that many Ethiopian and Somali doctors. So working on trying to figure out how to create more opportunities for them. So that's the next thing for me.
Wow. I wasn't expecting business degree on top of that.
I know.
I wasn't either.
I
My
thought-
mom asked me, was I going to do it? And I said no. And then my boss presented this opportunity, so I did it.
Doc, if you don't mind, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 38. My birthday was October 2nd. So I just
Good.
turned 38.
Wow. You're so
Good.
accomplished at such a young age. My hat's off to you.
I appreciate it.
That's great.
I-
I'm so far behind and I'm only a few years younger than you are. I'm
You're not
embarrassed
Hey,
now.
look, I tell everybody we're all on our own life's journey. You will get there. My journey wasn't straightforward. I told you guys I took time off, so relative to my peers, I'm actually a little bit older, just me. The other thing I will tell you though, like I said, I say don't refuse limitations, don't set limitations on yourself, but something I teach my residents too. There's gonna come a time in all of our lives we have to make a decision, and part of that is probably going to be making a choice to go venture into what I call the unknown. Never be afraid of the unknown. The most powerful thing you can ever do is do something that nobody else is doing. So when you venture into the unknown, you can create your own space. So a lot of stuff I have, I kind of create, it doesn't exist. I created it. And that's a very powerful thing. Nobody can set limitations on you if you go out and you create things for yourself. Now it's scary and you might fail at it, but you pick yourself up. But never be afraid of the unknown. That separates you from everybody else. That gives you power. That makes you unique. You don't want to be just like everybody else. So one of the reasons why I do what I do is so I'm not like everybody else.
And if I'm not mistaken, you don't have any. Oh, you have a little girl?
I do. I don't know if you can hear her downstairs. She's getting fed now. She's awake.
Great. So are you trying to steer her in a direction, trying to get her introduced to science, math, music? Is it, I mean, you have so many weapons in your toolbox to equip her with. What is it which way are you trying to persuade her to go?
Well, so I won't actually persuade her one way or the other, but I think what's important, and I know it's very tough for, again, minorities in the United States of America, what I want to do with my daughter is just show her the opportunities that are out there, give her guidance and let her make her own decisions. But also understand that that's very tough. So I want to take a moment to tell you guys here on the call, you guys should really appreciate what everybody's doing to kind of give you that opportunity. The other thing I want you guys to understand is it's very important to never set limitations on yourself and to work hard. But I'll be honest, life is also about opportunities, and life is not fair. There are people that will get way more opportunities than you. However, what you do with that opportunity, even if it's one, is still up to you.
Up to you.
Now, I told you, I have a large immediate family. I love my brothers to death. They're very good people. They're hardworking, but they didn't come from a family where they had both of their parents. I went to a different school and my school was better than theirs. So I had some more opportunities. And it's never lost on me that I had more opportunities, but I also had to work hard at it. So show of hands, who knows who Ted Turner is? Anybody? All right. I know the adults know who Ted Turner is. Any of the kids on the call know who Ted Turner is?
I don't see any hands or faces for that matter.
How many of
I
you
just
guys
scrolled.
watch? How many of you guys watch movies or TV shows on TNT or TBS? Or how many of you guys know who the Atlanta Braves baseball team is? All right. So a story about opportunity. So Ted Turner actually went to my high school. So I ended up getting a scholarship to go to a very expensive, very, very privileged private school. But remember what I told you about opportunities. I had a lot of friends that came from rich parents and did well. And I'll tell you, I had 4 classmates and they're all white. 2 of them came from rich families. They became heroin addicts after high school. 2 others also did, but they were more middle class, kind of lower middle class like myself and my family. So while it is true, it is unfair that some people get way more opportunities than others. I can tell you plenty of stories about people that never took advantage of their opportunities. So whenever I looked at my brothers and my older sister, and I recognized that they had struggles I didn't, it motivated me to make sure to work hard because I got opportunities they didn't. So I want you guys to understand that too. You may not get many, so you always take advantage of the ones you get. What's going on right now is an opportunity for you guys. You have people that have decided they don't know you, they're not related to you. They've taken time to invest their time and energy to show you what opportunities are out there. So when people ask me, what am I going to do with my daughter? I just want to show her the opportunities and make sure she understands she needs to work hard at them when she gets them.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna turn this to the kids right now. Yuritsa, it seems like you're really paying attention today. I'm really impressed by you, how studious you look right now. Did you understand any of what he said about taking advantage of opportunities, working hard? Did you understand any of that? And if you did, what did you understand?
I understand that opportunities can be, sometimes you don't get opportunities and other people might have more opportunities than you. And some opportunities can be good and others can be others can be better than yours. So
Yeah.
life can be unfair sometimes.
And take advantage of it. When your opportunity comes along, take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Work hard, study, prepare yourself so when that opportunity comes, you make the most of it. Very good, Yuritsa. Very good. What about Bautistas? What have you heard today that is gonna stick with you? Something that he's dropped a lot of pearls on us, a lot of knowledge on us. What have you heard today that's gonna benefit you?
Never doubt yourself and always go like beyond what you think you can do, because even if you fail, you still accomplish something.
Good.
Very good. Very good. Doc, you're already making a difference in our program. You've only been here for 30 minutes. You're making a huge difference in our program, man. I can't thank you enough for this. Wow. Wow.
No
So your daughter, you're going to motivate her and point her in the right direction. And hopefully she takes off and she soars and she flies. And you're giving our kids a lot of words of encouragement and wisdom. You got some big aspirations coming up, some things that you want to continue to do. When you go to sleep at night, what is it that motivates you to get up the next day and to keep on advancing in your life? Because you've done so much, you're so accomplished. Why not when you wake up in the morning just say, I'll turn over, hit the snooze button and go back to sleep, as opposed to what you're doing?
Absolutely. So it's basically what I told you guys. So let me tell you. So my dad didn't graduate high school. My mom is the youngest of 8, and she actually is the only one that went to college and graduated college. And so I've gotten to see a lot of things, and I've been lucky enough to not have to see them directly, but I never take for granted anything that I've gotten. So I love my older brothers to death. Both of them have been to jail. My older sister, I don't know if any of you guys know what Huntington's disease is, but she has Huntington's disease. She got it from her mother, and her mother got it from her father. And what it is if you guys have ever seen anybody with Parkinson's disease like Muhammad Ali or Michael J. Fox, it's very similar. What happens is your body loses control of its ability to move, and eventually you die from it. You die of a young age. And so my sister now, I'm 38, so my sister just turned 48. She has been in an assisted home for about the past 5 to 6 years. You can barely hear or understand her speak. She can't eat or swallow on her own anymore. She has a feeding tube. She has young kids and grandkids, and she can't really interact with them. So every night when I go to sleep, I wake up knowing, like I said, we don't all get the same amount of opportunities. And I have family members that would kill to have just 1 or 2 of the opportunities I have. So I owe it to them to continue working hard, because my biggest goal is not just to be a doctor. I believe all of us on this earth are trying to find our purpose. And mine is to find a way to try to make the world a better place once I die. It needs to be better than when I came into it. So that's actually what motivates me every day when I wake up, so that I don't say what I've done is enough. So it's not enough for me to be a doctor. As a matter of fact, I'm probably, if I can do this right, I might want to be retired from medicine in about 10 to 15 years. And I want to move on to doing things that are bigger and giving back to communities and my communities, and looking at ways to help the African American community, to the Latino community, to achieve some of those same freedoms and opportunities and economic independence that have not been afforded to our people. And so that's what motivates me every night, because I know I have a lot of people that are very good people and hardworking people, nicest people you meet, and they never got those opportunities. And again, that includes my father. He made a good living for himself. He worked for UPS for a while when I was a child. And then he actually lost that job, but he went back to school. He got his GED, and he started his own heating and air business. And he made a pretty good living out of it, and he's retired now. But I know that, you know, my dad is the son of sharecroppers from Alabama. He got a little bit better than his parents. His mother had, you know, no more than a 4th grade education. I've done better than him. So I've got to make things better for my daughter and so forth. So that's what motivates me every day.
Wow, wow. You can't see it, but I got goose pimples just listening to you, sir. Just, man, I got goose pimples. Man, I'm gonna play this back a couple times. I can feel it already.
Here, I think the medical term is goosebumps.
Not goose pimples. It's not goose. It's not goose acne. Murder, you got anything for Doc?
I'm sorry?
I said, you got anything for Doc?
Well, I do actually. I have a question for you. What's the age cap or requirement, minimum, max for being a doctor or being, I guess, enrolled in medical school?
So good news, there isn't any. So actually, I had a friend who actually is from California. I haven't talked to her in a while, but her name is Sarah Higgins, and she had a unique story. She was biracial, went to UCLA, and she was actually in the Navy for years and years. Sarah was 40 when she went back to medical school, and she finished medical school, and then she went back to California, and she's an internal medicine doctor out there. So again, there are no limitations.
And I ask also because once I retire with the department, I want to go into the medical field. I knew, just like you, at a young age, that I wanted to be an officer. I wanted to help people. But as I was getting older, I started hearing about all these medical conditions that people were suffering from. And I was like, oh, I wish I could help them. So I was always torn between law enforcement or the medical field. But I ended up choosing the medical field because I figured I'm young. When I'm younger and able to, I can get that, the ability to do it. And then later on, as I'm a little older, I can still do my part in helping other people. So I want to be a nurse or I'm just saying a nurse. And now that you tell me that Sarah Higgins did it at 40 and I'm about 5 away.
Yeah.
So, You know, and I
Again,
wanted to ask you though, your sister, you said she was a nurse. What did you call her? A nurse?
she is, so if you guys ever hear the term a CRNA, that
Oh, okay.
stands for Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist.
Anesthetist.
So what happens is, so my sister, similar to me. Now, my sister, and again, never set limitations on yourself. She wanted to be everything under the sun. We joke at one point in time, she wanted to be a pilot, and she wanted to be a nurse and a doctor, and she wanted to be a teacher. And my favorite, she wanted to be a taxi cab driver. So anyway.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
I have no idea. She got to college, and she went to Washington University in St. Louis for a freshman year. And she was doing a biomedical engineering degree. And then she decided that, she didn't necessarily want to go on that path anymore and didn't think she wanted to be a doctor. But she got to shadow as a nurse, and she liked some of the more intimate and direct care with patients. So she transferred to Tennessee and became a nurse. And so to be a CRNA, you have to finish undergrad, and you do 2 years of nursing. And then you have to work in what we call the intensive care unit. So when people are really, really sick and they need to have breathing machines for them and need to have special monitoring when they're sick, you have to do 3 years of that. And then you can go back to school to become what's called a CRNA. So after she did that, so she lives in Nashville. She did that for a few years. She went to the University of Pittsburgh for 2.5 years to train. And then she became a CRNA, and she took a job with a private company in Nashville. And so she's been doing that for the past 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
So again, set no limitations on yourself.
Is that higher than an RN because you have that specialty?
Well, it's different. It does come with a higher salary. So so CRNAs are probably the highest paid clinical nurses you can be.
Okay.
Either them or a nurse practitioner, just depending on where you are. But CRNAs don't necessarily work with RN. So to become a CRNA, you have to be an RN first. So you have to be a registered nurse first. And after training as a registered nurse, you can become a certified registered nurse anesthetist. So it's additional training.
So is that like a 5-year?
No, so it's 2 years of nursing school, and then 2.5 to 3.5 years of CRNA training, just depending on what program you go into. Right now, it is a master's training, but they're working on making it a doctorate training.
Okay.
So it's anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 years.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah. Doc, let me ask you something. You talk about all this schooling, whether it's for being a nurse or being a doctor, and 4 years, 5 years, here and there. What programs are in place for kids that don't have the financial means to go to school, to try to become a doctor?
That is a great question, and unfortunately, there aren't many. So the first thing I'll tell you guys, for anybody that is in middle school or high school, work very hard. If you have the opportunity to have college guidance counselors or anybody that can help you, there are tons of scholarships that are merit-based, need-based, performance-based for college. However, to date, there aren't as many for training beyond college. And that's something that a lot of people are working on. I won't lie to you. It is very expensive to go to medical school. Now, you can take out loans from the federal government. They are now putting in place programs to give you loan forgiveness. So I took out loans too, even though I was a teacher. I still have to take out loans. I worked hard. I should be paying mine off next year, so it'll take me about 3 years to pay mine off. I have colleagues that are 50 and 55 and 60 still paying theirs off.
Wow.
So unfortunately, there aren't as many, but that's one of the things that I'm working with. So the National Medical Association is actually the historic association for African Americans and underrepresented minorities. And if you've heard about some of the stuff in the news related to coronavirus, if you ever hear the name Dr. Leon McDougall, he is the president of the National Medical Association. Well, he works at Ohio State. He actually is one of my mentors. He works in our Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So one of the things we're working on is figuring out ways for these organizations to create more opportunities for scholarship access And one of the things that we're talking about is doing things like this. We need to do more community outreach engagement to first explain to at-risk youth, to explain to underrepresented minority youth that yes, you can be a doctor too, you can be a nurse too, you can be an engineer, and to start setting you up with programs to get you on the path to training. One of the things we did nationally, so to become a doctor, you have to take a bunch of tests at different levels. Well, possibly the most important test you ever take, actually you take after 2 years in medicine, which makes no sense. And historically, they actually use that test, even if you passed, that's actually how they determine if you, like what specialty you went into. So certain specialties like becoming a surgeon or a plastic surgeon or an orthopedic surgeon or an emergency medicine physician, or even something like dermatology, you had to score really high. And if you didn't score high, you basically had to go into family medicine, or you had to be a doctor that takes care of pregnant women. And what we saw is over time, that was funneling Black kids and Latino kids away from these competitive specialties. And it made no sense because there wasn't any relationship with how well you performed on the test to how good of a doctor you become. So recently, nationally, they got rid of that. It's only pass fail. So we're trying to do things where we stop putting these limitations on kids and saying, well, because you didn't score as high as the next kid, you clearly aren't smart enough, because that's not true. If you're smart enough to get into medical school, you're smart enough to be a doctor. So the best thing I can tell you right now is just talk to some of your local communities. A lot of them have offerings. So when I was in high school, there was a thing called the Botillion. And so in the South, there are these kind of old pageants that high school kids did, and it's like you're coming out to the community. But they did set me up to shadow some doctors and some Black doctors in the community. I was fortunate enough to, some of my classmates had fathers who were doctors, so I shadowed them as well. But there are all sorts of things like that that are trying to pair kids with those professional people in the community. And so if anybody wants to become a doctor, when this is over, everybody has my email address, so you always can reach out to me, and I can start working with getting people set up with mentors, because I think that's a very important first step. But honestly, I think medicine has not done a good job of giving back to these communities. So it's not enough to become a doctor if I can't create a pipeline for other people that look like me to become doctors as well.
Wow. 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 Let's switch gears a little bit, Doc. You've given so much great advice. What are some of the things, all of our kids are young, as you can tell, and growing up and trying to determine which path to take, whether the right or wrong path. What are some of the things that not just health-wise, as far as eating, nutrition, some of the things that they should do and some of the things they should not do? Sodas, anything like that that you can think of that's probably detrimental to good health?
I can tell you that. All right. So by show of hands, who knows what the most important thing to do is if you want to lose weight? Very simple. Who knows? You can chime in.
Go ahead, Yuritsa.
One thing that's better than anything else you can do if you want to lose weight. What do you think? Okay. So Yuritsa, what do you think?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can. What do you think?
I think it's two things: eating healthy and exercising.
All right. So you're right. Exercise is important, but actually eating is the #1 factor of whether you will gain or lose weight. You can't gain any weight if you don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't lose any weight if you eat too much. Now I will tell you guys, I played a lot of sports. I used to be a lot bigger. I weighed about 240 pounds when I played. I'm about 200 to 205 pounds now. But whenever I start to gain weight and I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you're starting to get a little soft in the midsection, I work out really hard and I'm in good shape. It's about eating right. So the first thing you got to do is just don't overeat. It's actually simpler than a lot of us make it. All right. So everybody's body has a baseline of food it needs to take just so so your body can operate. But when you eat more than you need, you either need to burn it off or your body will store it as fat. And eventually what happens when your body stores it as fat, your blood pressure starts to increase. You start to develop blockages in your blood vessels. And your body, which normally helps you absorb blood sugar, it stops doing it. And so that's where people get high blood sugar. So people with diabetes. So the first thing is to just watch what you eat. It is important to eat healthy, but I understand sometimes it's not always the easiest, the quickest, or the cheapest to eat healthy. But you know what? It's okay. I won't lie to you. I have fast food, but you can't eat fast food for every meal. And if you think about it, so watch this. So for the average adult male, I want you to remember one number, 3,500, so 3,500. And this is what I have to remind myself. So 3,500, 3,500, or 3,500. That's how many calories there are in 1 pound. So you gain 1 pound when you eat 3,500 more calories than your body can burn. Well, guess what? The average adult male needs to eat about 2,000 calories a day. And the average adult woman needs to eat around 1,700. So think about how much you got to eat just to gain a pound in a day. So you need to eat like 5,000 calories. That's a lot of food. So honestly, just watch how much you eat. That's the most important thing first. Now, it's true eating things that are high in fat and sugar, they also don't, and high in salt, they don't help with high blood pressure and blood sugar. But honestly, we would all do better if we eat a lot as Americans. So remember I told you 2,000 calories. Well, I like Burger King. If you go get a Whopper with cheese and fries, anybody know how many calories that is?
It's a lot.
I would say roughly, what, 750?
Oh, it's more
I
than
think
that.
more than that.
Really?
More than that. Yeah, I think it's like 1,900 maybe.
Really?
That's not that much. If you put a drink on it like a Coke, you get a large Coke, you're looking at about 1,300 calories.
Ugh.
Well, you're only supposed to have 2,000 in a day. So what I tell people is, if you like Burger King, fine. Maybe don't get the drink or eat half the burger. Or if you do eat the whole meal, just don't get a second one. That's the first thing. Just be careful about how much you put into your body. I want you guys to think of your body like a temple. All right? It's sacred. It's yours. It doesn't belong to anybody else but you. You will get out of your body what you put into it and vice versa. Okay? The more you put into your body, the bigger that temple is going to become. And the less you put in that temple, the smaller it's going to come, because you don't want to become anorexic either. So you don't want to go the opposite end and don't eat. So that's the first thing. Once you're able to control how much you're eating, then you need to start thinking about, yes, health and exercise. The reason why that's good to promote a healthy heart. So you need your heart. Your heart is a muscle just like everything else. So you can train your heart. So when you're up and moving around, your heart becomes stronger. So that's why you want to do exercise. That's good for your heart. And that also helps keep your blood pressure down and your blood sugar down. But the bottom line is, just don't overeat. Look, I like food. I like cake. My wife and I will go get a birthday cake from our favorite bakery sometimes for no reason.
For no birthday.
No birthday. And they'll say, whose birthday is it? And I say, nobody. It's Wednesday. I want a cake. But
It's someone's birthday out there.
exactly. But I don't eat the whole thing. And I have to be careful. I say, if I'm going to eat the slice of cake, I can't just go and eat everything else I want. So be careful. All right. It's okay. Look, There's a lot of good foods I like that aren't always the healthiest. It's not that you can't have them, but you have to control how much of it you have, okay? So remember that number, 3,500, that's 1 pound, and remember the number 2,000, all right? If you can do that, you'll be pretty healthy. And then just move. The human body was made to move. We have a saying in medicine, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, okay? So be careful of how much you eat and just get up and move around.
Doc, you're setting the bar way too high. I don't know how I'm going to be able to relate to the kids after this. The bar is way too high now. The thing you said about the heart, I just want you to touch on that one more time. The heart is a muscle. All of our boys and girls are into some type of program, whether it's martial arts or soccer or whatever it may be, and they get to do activities. And I think, you know, I remember myself as a kid when I used to run around, I'd feel my heart beating real fast, and I thought it was a problem, you know, but that's actually a good thing when your heart starts beating fast because of exercise. So maybe touch on that just a little bit.
All right, so let's think about the heart for a second. Who knows what does the heart do in the body? Who knows? What does the heart do?
Anyone raising their hand? No, no one's raising
Why
their
do you have
hand.
a heart?
Come on, guys.
Why do you have a heart?
Melvin.
All right, Melvin, why do you have a heart?
To pump oxygen into your organs or something.
Great answer. All right. So the body needs oxygen, okay? Oxygen travels in your body through your blood. So once it goes into your lungs, it's absorbed from your lungs into your blood. Your heart is a pump. It pumps that blood to the whole body. But guess what? The heart also pumps blood to itself. When you train your heart, because it's a muscle, if you're healthy, your heart doesn't have to work as hard to get that blood and oxygen to the rest of your body. But if you don't train that muscle and you get really big and heavy and you get overweight, your heart has to work harder to get simple oxygen to the rest of the body. And over time, it can wear your heart out. And that's how you get heart disease and have a heart attack. So you want to train your heart. So eating is good for your weight. Exercise is good for your heart. Your heart is a muscle. So think about that. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you flex your arm, your heart is a muscle too. So your heart can get strong just like your muscles. So the same way you lift, when you run and exercise, you're making your heart stronger.
So good. So good. Doc, like I said, we get our guest out of here in an hour. We're coming up on that hour. I don't even know if you could top everything that you said today, but we try to end it on words of wisdom, you know, something that you had growing up that resonated with you, that you can impart on our kids, and hopefully they'll be able to use that going forward. So any words of wisdom, Bible verses, anything that you use to motivate yourself to become the accomplished person you are today, we'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. So I got some, and some come from rappers. All right. So first thing that I said is I believe that God will never put more on me than I can bear. And whether you believe in God or not, I still believe that's true. Human beings are stronger than any individual human understands. The same way I said that your muscle gets stronger, the way your muscles get stronger is you put more weight and you train lifting that weight, and that makes you stronger. I believe that your spirit, your soul, your mind, they're just like those muscles. So you challenge yourself. You are stronger than you know. The second thing, and I believe this, and I took it as a sign of strength. When you don't come from wealth, if you are a minority, I was always taught that I had to work twice as hard as a white person just to get to the same place. And that may seem unfair, but I always took it to mean I'm probably stronger than most of my peers. They didn't have to work as hard. So when things get challenging for them, they're going to crumble under the pressure. So I don't know if you can see my pen, but I'm also in a fraternity. So in college, I joined fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi. It's one of the Divine Nine, one of the 9 historically Black fraternities and sororities. And there's a saying we have in this fraternity. So does anybody know how diamonds are made? Where do diamonds come from?
I think pressure.
Right. So
I don't know what it,
they're pretty.
but I know something with pressure.
Absolutely. Diamonds are pretty, they're expensive, and it's actually one of the hardest substances on earth. But diamond comes from coal.
Coal.
What happens is you take a lump of coal, and when you apply pressure to that coal, you make diamonds. So we always say pressure makes diamonds. All right? Now, I'll give you another one. Who likes Jay-Z?
These kids don't.
Like Jay-Z? He's
These
too
kids
old for
probably
it?
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably too young.
Well, 21 Savage didn't say this. Jay-Z said it. So I will tell you guys, I have failed a lot in my life. What defines you are not your failures. It's how you handle yourself after you fail. So Jay-Z has a line. He says, I will not lose, for even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens it up for me. So I believe that I can never be defeated, because even if I fail, I will learn something, and I will learn how to be successful the next time I get an opportunity. The last 2 quotes I'll give you came from business school. All right, you guys ready for this?
Absolutely.
Your reputation does not belong to you.
Ooh.
That's true.
Okay? Your reputation does not define you. How many of you can grow up and maybe you have a good day and somebody says, oh, that guy Melvin, he's a great guy. And then the next day you have a bad day and they say, oh, that guy Melvin's stupid. Here's what your reputation is. All right. Your reputation is just a conversation piece for 2 other people to bond over. It's the same way if I walk up to a stranger and I say, hey, you like football? And he says, yeah. And we bond over that. I could walk up to a stranger and say, hey, do you know Melvin? And he'll say, yeah. And I'll say, Melvin's a good guy. And he says, Melvin's a good guy. That's your reputation. Your reputation does not matter. You know what matters? Your character. Because you can control your character. Your character is what you do. It's your actions. Your reputation is just something somebody made up. Remember that. I know it's very tough. I know people make fun of you and call names, and we always want to protect our reputations. Many people have died young protecting their reputation over foolishness. Your character, that is what determines who you are. And the last thing actually comes from Maya Angelou. And I want you to think about this as you get older. Maybe you haven't had a whole lot of opportunities, but I believe that the basic premise of being a human being is that we genuinely are connected to each other. And Maya Angelou says, people will often forget what you say. They will forget what you do. They will always remember how you made them feel. When you have an opportunity to make somebody feel better about themselves, that's a good thing. And that person will discover that they can do a lot more than they ever thought possible simply because of how you made them feel, which also means you have the ability to make people feel bad and to do bad things to themselves. So remember that. You have the power, I don't care how old or young you are, to do things for people and to make them feel a certain way. Remember that.
That's awesome.
So good. So good. So good. Where do we go from there?
I know.
I got
Sorry,
one.
kids, you get us.
Yeah.
I got a friend who I'm going to refer to you guys after this. He actually is from LA. He's a doctor, and guess what? He doesn't even practice medicine. He got his MBA as well, and he actually works for a group that buys hospitals.
Oh, wow.
So I talked to him today, so he would like to talk to you guys too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Doc, would you mind sharing your email address with us and our kids just in case we want to reach out to you and keep in contact? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Please
Kids,
write this down. It doesn't matter. I will always make time to help you guys out. Even if I'm busy, it may be a day or two before I get back to you, but I will get back to you.
Kids, you
All
don't
right.
get a lot of opportunities like this. So grab a pen, your tablet, whatever it may be, and jot this down.
All right. So my email address is J as in Juliet, D as in Delta, J as in Juliet, I as in India, and G as in golf at live.com, live.com. And Officer Alcaraz has my email address as well. So you guys can always reach out to me at jdjig@live.com.
JD Jig, there it is. There it is. Doctor, on behalf of the Hollywood Police Activities League, from all the boys and girls, from our directors, our board, we can't thank you enough. You're so, go ahead.
I said, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, you're so profound in the way you speak and the way you talk to our kids. We can't thank you enough. Look forward to hearing from you soon, and best of luck in whatever comes next in your life and in your travels.
Absolutely. And I appreciate this opportunity. And I want you kids to sincerely know I'm proud of you guys. You guys inspire me because you guys are the future. There will be a time where I no longer exist. So I hope that once I'm gone, you guys are able to take some of the things that you learned from me, you make yourself successful, and you create opportunities for other people. So I am proud to talk to you guys, and you guys inspire me. So you guys keep working hard.
Perfect.
Thank you, Doc. Have a great day, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, you guys take care. Enjoy that California weather.
Oh, it's great.
Bye.
It's great. I'll text you or call you after, sir, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, that's fine.
All right, thank you. Bye,
Take care.
kiddos. Thank you
Bye,
for
everyone.
joining.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
It'll be hard to top that one.